All right, so this is lesson 3 of our lesson or unit on income. So this is looking at other forms of income, so like less common ways of making income. Rather than just getting an hourly wage, there's other ways you can get paid as well. So this first one we're going to look at is called piecework. So piecework is when rather than getting paid for how many hours you work, you're getting paid for how many things you do, basically. So there's lots of different ways that this you can get paid for piecework, or like different jobs or different things that would use piecework. Um, but we'll take a look at a couple examples, and these ones are pretty straightforward as far as how do you get paid that way. So this example says Greg works as a tree planter during the summer and he earns his income through piecework. He's paid $2.50 for each seedling he plants. If he plants 45 seedlings in a day, how much will he earn? Okay, so every seedling he plants, he gets $2.50, and he plants 45 of them. Each one he's getting $2.50. All we do to calculate that is just 45 times $2.50, and you'll get your answer. So this works out to be $112.50. And these ones are very straightforward. They're really just how much they make per thing times it by how many things they made. So if we move ahead now to this one, this example, Mary works as a flower arranger. She is paid $143.75 for making 25 identical flower arrangements for a wedding. How much was she paid per arrangement? So this is kind of the reverse question. They're saying she made this much total, and she made 25 of them, so how much did you get paid for just one? So if she got paid this much altogether, if we break that up into 25 pieces, then that will tell us how much each one was. Okay, so if we break this up into 25 pieces, that will tell us each one. So that just means $143.75, and we're just going to divide that by 25, and that will tell us how many she got paid for just one, or how much she got paid for just one. So that works out to be $5.75. For each flower arrangement she did, she got $5.75. If you weren't sure if you did your math right, you could check it. You could say, well, she made $5.75 each, and she made 25 of them. If you times that by 25, it should give you what you started with, which is the $143.75. So moving on to commission. So commission is when you make, this would be a sales job where you're selling something. Could be cars, could be sports equipment, could be whatever. But in this, or realtors as well, like selling houses, they're working on commission. So this is when you're going to get a percent of whatever it is that you sell. So if you're making 5% and you sell $100, that means you get 5 of those dollars. If you sell $1,000, now you're getting $50. Or if you sell $50,000, right? Or sorry, $100,000, now you're making $5,000. So it motivates people to sell, and so salespeople, this is why they can be kind of pushy sometimes, is because if they sell more, if they make you buy more, then they're going to get more money. All right, so for a definition there, I just have that commission is when you're getting paid a percent or percentage of their sales. So for an example, here's someone that sells classic Chinese furniture, such as round black armchairs, and they work on commission, a commission rate of 6.5% of his gross sales. Okay, so that means anything that they sell, they get 6.5% of. So 6.5% of what they sell is what they get. If they then sold $9,865 last week, and it has 0 cents, so you could write decimal 00, but you don't have to. How much commission did he earn? So we want to know then, what is 6.5% of this amount of dollars? The way we do that is we need to rewrite this percentage as a decimal. If we just times these two numbers together, we would get a number 6.5 times bigger than what we started with. It would be like, 60-some thousand dollars. It'd be a lot. What we need to do first is to get this as a decimal, we divide by 100. And this symbol actually looks kind of like a divide by with 2 zeros for 100. Right? Percent means per 100. So like divide by 100. So we're going to say, to get this as a decimal, we say 6.5 divided by 100. You can do that in your calculator, or if you know how to move your decimal, you can do it that way too. This ends up being 0.065. So now this is the percentage as a decimal, and this is what we now multiply by this. So this is the amount of dollars, and we multiply by 0.065 to tell us what 6.5% of it is. So 6.5% of that nearly $10,000 ends up being $641.22. So these next questions, like the practice questions, are just going to be the same thing. You're going to take your percentage, make it a decimal, so you divide by 100, and then you'll multiply that by how much they sold to find out how much they make. This next example, though, is kind of the reverse. They're saying if they earned this much money on commission, how much, and they sold this much, what percentage are they making? Okay, so when it says like, what's his rate of commission? They're saying like, what percent of the money did he get to keep? So we need to find a percent then. So when you're trying to figure this is something that students often forget how to do or are not sure how to start. I like to start with small examples so that I know to be true. So I know that 1/2 means 50%. I know that that is true. Okay. And how did I find that out? Right? How could you figure this out on your calculator that 1/2 is 50%? When you have a fraction like this, you take the top number and you divide by the bottom. So you'd say like 1 divided by 2, and that will give you a 0.5. This is the percent as a decimal, but to go from decimal to percent, we need to multiply by 100. So we'd take that 0.5 and multiply by 100, and that would give us now 50. That is our percent. This is 50%. So this is like a simple example of like, okay, this is the process for turning 1/2 into a percentage. We took the top and divided by the bottom, and that gave us a decimal, and we times by 100. So now let's do that same thing, but we'll do it for this example here. This is the part of this whole, okay? So this is the total, and this is the part that they got to keep. So this number, this smaller number here, this is what's going to go on the top of our fraction, $416.03. And on the bottom of our fraction, it's going to be $9,245, decimal 00. We don't actually have to write that part, but we can. So we're saying like we got to keep this much of this total. So what percent is that? So in our calculator, what we're going to do is we're going to divide those two numbers, and it's going to give us a decimal. Then we'll times by 100 to get the percent. So what we got as a decimal was 0.045. Okay, we are not done yet. We cannot just write percent there. Okay, that would be very, very small. Now we times by 100. So we say 0.045 times 100, and that gives us 4.5, and this is our now percentage, 4.5%. So he sold this much money, and he got to keep 4.5% of it, which was this $400 here. Okay, so these next couple questions will work the exact same way. All right, now the last one that we're going to do is contracts. So these ones have the kind of most moving parts, and in real life, these are kind of the most complicated to do well, but you'll see that this really is a lot of common sense math. And this is something that is like really, really relevant if you are going into the trades, if you're starting your own business, about how these contracts work and how you're going to make sure that you get paid enough money and cover all your bills and stuff. All right, so contracts, we're going to say that's when you're getting paid per job. So someone's going to hire you or your company to do one big job, and you have to give them a quote. So you're going to say, we need $10,000 to do this job. That money is not money that you get to just take and keep all of it for yourself. Okay, what that money is used for is then to pay your different bills and wages and cover your cost of materials and things like that. And then what's left over, that's that money that you get to keep. That's your profit. So when someone says, we want you to do this job, you need to know how much do I need to cover all of my costs and then still have money left over at the end so that I get paid. So that's what these next examples are going to be, or these next questions are going to be, is figuring out how much money does someone need to charge. So this question, someone's figuring out how much to charge for repairing the steps on the client's house. So the cost of materials will be $785.96. So that's how much they need for like, wood or, tools or whatever it is that they're needing for this job. And they're going to have to hire 2 workers for 8 hours each. And those workers are getting paid $12.85 an hour. The contractor, this is the person like doing this, wants to also earn $450 of profit for himself. That's what seems like fair for the amount of work that this is being done. So what should then he charge the client for the contract? So we need to figure out what's the total amount of money that they're going to need, and that will be how much they're going to charge. So we know this part's easy, that for the materials, and normally there's calculations involved in figuring out how much materials will cost as well, but the materials are going to cost this much, and he needs 2 workers for 8 hours each, and at this much per hour. So let's break that up into, like, just start with 1 worker, and then we'll double it at the end. So 1 worker, they work 8 hours. That worker's going to work 8 hours, and they are making $12.85 an hour. And how much is that? So that is $102.80. But we have 2 of these workers. This was just 1. So we're going to double that. So I'm just going to add on another $102.80 for the second worker. And then for profit, the person charging this money is not just doing this out of the goodness of his heart. He needs to make some money too. So he's charging then $450, and that is like his profit. Now, when something goes wrong, right, if it ends up being 9 hours of work, or they end up needing a little bit more materials, these workers aren't going to get paid less, and you have to buy the materials. What's going to happen is that you're going to not make quite as much profit as you hoped. So they're charging $450. That is kind of also gives you your wiggle room. So now we're going to add all these things up. And what the total number we get here is what will be how much she's going to charge the client for the contract. So you can, put this in your calculator. You don't have to do it by hand. All right, so in total for the materials, the workers, and some money for profit, they are going to charge the client then $1,441.56 to complete the job of repairing those stairs. So that is it for this lesson. We covered commission and these contracts and piecework, and each of these things I think you'll find is a lot of different kind of common sense stuff. So yeah, good luck with the rest of the practice problems, and I'll see you in the next lesson.